You're 19, crawling through fiberglass in a 130-degree attic for about 16 bucks an hour, the national going rate for a first-year HVAC apprentice. Your shirt is soaked, your knees grind into trusses, and every breath tastes like dust and insulation. Your boss calls this paying your dues. OSHA calls it one of the highest injury trades in construction. Sprains, strains, fractures, cuts, punctures, amputations, heat burns, chemical burns, all from heavy equipment, tight spaces, and live electrical panels. You're one misstep away from falling through a ceiling, one bad clamp away from a refrigerant burn, one rush check away from an arc of electricity across your wrist. Fast forward 3 decades, you're no longer on the roof. A different man in your trade is sitting in a glass conference room, signing paperwork on a $3.4 billion continuation fund built around an HVAC and home services platform like Apex Service Partners. The zeros on the wire transfer look like a phone number. You spent your 20s covered in sweat and mastic. He spends his 40s negotiating EBITDA multiples and roll-up synergies. You swing nut drivers. He moves balance sheets. And somehow you are both HVAC. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. You're 19, and your official title is helper, which is a polite way of saying mule. The average helper wage is around $14 an hour nationwide, with a lot of guys starting closer to $12 in low-cost markets. You don't get a van, you don't get your name on anything, and some days you barely get lunch. Your job is simple. Carry the heavy things into the hot places. That means dragging flex duct and sheet metal through 130-degree attics, crawling through spider-webbed crawl spaces, and shoving air handlers through access hatches that are one size smaller than your shoulders. The fibers in the insulation itch through your clothes. Your sweat turns them into paste on your skin and in your lungs. Nobody talks about ergonomics. You wrench your back hauling split systems up narrow stairs, twist your knees jumping off tailgates, and learn that awkward posture is BLS language for you'll blow your shoulder out before 30. You're working around live disconnects and breaker panels. One day you slip, and your nut driver grazes a live terminal and throws a bright blue arc in front of your face. That's your safety training. When you clock out, your paycheck doesn't look like a sacrifice. At $14 to maybe $17 an hour before overtime, your monthly take-home barely covers rent, gas, and whatever cheap food you can cook half asleep at midnight. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself you're climbing. Year 2, you get a new word on your badge: apprentice. Your wage inches up into the mid-teens, maybe $16 or $17 an hour if you're lucky or in a decent market. But that raise comes with a new requirement. You're supposed to have your own tools now. Your starter kit of hand tools and safety gear, screwdrivers, pliers, wrenches, multimeter, tape measure, snips, boots, glasses, runs $650 to $2,540 out of your own pocket, depending on how nice you buy and whether you catch sales. Your company might supply the big-ticket stuff like the vacuum pump, the recovery machine, and the fancy gauges, but everything that lives in your bag or on your belt, that's you. And here's the quiet part no one says out loud. Once you start down that path, the spending never really stops. Techs who can do anything in the field routinely report $5,000 to $10,000 in personal tools: bag, meters, digital manifold, leak detector, drill set, copper tools, accumulated a few $100 at a time. Replace a lost meter here, upgrade a gauge set there, add a better leak detector after a callback burns you. 10 years go by and your entire net worth is sitting in the back of a rusted van. You're also now on the hook for the math: psychrometrics, superheat, subcooling, airflow, combustion analysis. The thermodynamics you grunted through in trade school show up on real calls with real consequences. If you can't calculate a proper charge or read a wet bulb temperature, you'll fail your exams, rack up callbacks, and your foreman will quietly stop giving you real tickets. Some guys wash out here. The heat, the crawl spaces, the exam stress, and the slow financial bleed of tools are too much. They realize they can make the same $16 an hour stocking shelves without worrying about electrocution, falls, or refrigerant burns, which are all routine hazards in this trade. They quit before they've even seen the top half of the ladder. You don't quit, you double down. By your late 20s, you've become good. You can diagnose most residential systems without calling for backup. Your callbacks are low, and the dispatcher trusts you with angry customers. That's when they hand you a tablet. Suddenly, you're not just a tech, you're a comfort advisor. Your pay structure shifts away from straight hourly and toward performance and commission. Job ads in your space openly dangle $150,000 to $300,000 a year if you hit your numbers closing high-ticket system replacements in living rooms. At the very top end, some comfort advisor roles brag that their best closers make $300,000 to $600,000 a year in commissions. To unlock that kind of money, you're given good, better, best pricing menus. The software on your tablet is tuned to maximize average ticket size. It nudges you toward full system replacements, duct cleanups, IAQ add-ons, and extended warranties. The scripts you're trained on are less about static pressure and more about pain points and monthly payments. Here's the moral trap. You roll up on a house where a $50 capacitor and a solid clean and check would keep an old system limping along for a few more seasons. But your KP is don't care about honest triage. They care about close rate and average sale. So you look at the elderly homeowner across the table and walk them through the best option, a $15,000 high SEER system, duct sealing, thermostat upgrade, maybe some IAQ upsells. Every time you hit submit on a big ticket, you feel two emotions in the same heartbeat: relief that your commissions are safe, and a quiet disgust that you're now, functionally, a high-pressure salesman with a tool bag. Your back still hurts, your knees are still cooked from years in attics and underhouses, but your job title has slid from mechanic to revenue producer. The smart 1% of techs see this trap for what it is. They learn the business side. KP is margins, conversion rates, labor burden, recurring revenue math. But they don't stay. They bank their best sales years, study how the dispatch board really drives profit, and then walk away to launch small, honest commercial shops that focus on maintenance contracts instead of one-call kills in residential neighborhoods. You can stay and chase $300,000 plus as a closer, or you can start plotting your escape. The ladder goes higher, but the rungs get weirder. You step out of houses and into the mechanical rooms. Residential attics are replaced by rooftop units, RTUs, chillers, and data center cooling plants. Instead of deciding whether one homeowner can afford a $15,000 system, you're making choices that affect server farms, hospitals, and manufacturing lines where a few hours of downtime costs millions. Your tools change. The personal kit in your truck is no longer just a few $100s of hand tools. It's thousands in meters, probes, and specialty gear that your company expects you to own and maintain. When you look around a well-equipped service truck, you're staring at $15,000 to $37,500 worth of tools and diagnostic equipment, vacuum pumps, recovery machines, refrigerant scales, imaging tools, everything needed to keep modern systems alive. You might not have bought every item yourself, but every time something fails, you feel the replacement cost like a shot to the ribs. Physically, the bill for the last decade starts coming due. The years of heavy lifting, awkward postures, and long shifts have compounded into chronic back pain, ruined shoulders, and knees that pop and grind on every ladder rung. You've inhaled moldy air in mechanical rooms, been around refrigerant leaks, and worked in spaces full of dust, asbestos, and other contaminants that lawyers write about in worker comp blogs. As a foreman or senior commercial tech, you make more than the $16 apprentice you once were. Median practicing techs land around $50,000 to mid-50s annually in straightforward wage data. And a strong commercial hand with overtime and differentials can go significantly beyond that. You manage crews, coordinate with facility managers, and carry a 24/7 on-call phone that owns your sleep schedule. But something else is starting to become visible from this vantage point. Contracts, multi-year service agreements, preventive maintenance schedules, the recurring revenue that your employer books off your sweat. You start to realize that every RTU you commission is also a line item on somebody's profit and loss statement, renewed automatically every year unless something goes catastrophically wrong. You're still the one tightening the bolts. Someone else is banking the annuity.